Hey, what's up, guys? David and my co-host Jason here, back with another episode of The Rig. Meet us at The Rig. We should come up with a meet us at Muar. That's what we are. Meet us at The Rig.
That's not.
That's not. Okay. And all you Wrigglers out there who are joining us. I feel like it's a radio host when I'm saying that, and I love it. It makes me feel so happy every time. That's why I do it.
Batman.
Do you think of Batman? Oh, like the Riddler.
Like the Riddler.
Ooh, that's even better. I haven't seen the new Batman. Apparently he's in it. We're back, guys, with another season and episode of The Rig. Last week, we were talking to you guys about all things Hero Wad and Murph. Maybe not all things Hero Wad, but specifically talking about Murph. This week, we're back with you for another episode. And this is this is going to be a topic that I don't want to say near and dear to Jason's heart, but something that he's been working on for a little bit and passionate about. There's several of these things throughout the season that you're going to find that we're both going to get into our passions a little bit. We're both going to talk to you about things that we both care a lot about. And so I guess I'm going to start by asking Jason, what took you down this path of the topic that we're going to go down today? I guess maybe I should say the topic. Well, I'll let you say it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think where I heard these or if I made them up. Usually I probably stole them from someone, nothing's new under the sun, right? Like we just steal things and kind of mold them. So for me, I really enjoy people. I enjoy trying to inspire and empower people to do things that they cannot do. And whether it's in a business setting or in just a friend, personal setting. I think this one I kind of took from a podcast during the closure. So I was painting the CFN, if I remember specifically, at the gym on a scaffolding while we were closed in 2020 for COVID. So, and it's the founder of the No Spring Trampoline was talking about it. And I thought it was going to be a really boring podcast. It actually just came on because I didn't change it. I finished up one. And then he starts talking about how he leads people. And he's in tears about what happened when the pandemic started and how they had to shut things down and all of this stuff. And he talked about three things people need, which is like knowledge, motivation, and clarity. I thought that was really interesting. And he tied it to Daniel Pink's what people need to be motivated at work is autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Yeah. So if you have those three things, people really feel empowered and love their job. That's how you keep people around longer, you give them purpose, allow them to have mastery in something and the autonomy to do it. Yeah. So when I think of knowledge, motivation, and clarity, it dawned on me that the clarity is really the key factor there. In a book called Switch, they talk about that. We often think there's a people problem when it's a situation problem. So, when someone says I'm not motivated or that person's just not motivated, but then you look at their life and you find somewhere in their life that they are motivated to do something. So that as soon as you find somewhere that they're motivated, you realize it's not that person. That person can be motivated. There is, it's not impossible for that person to be motivated. Now,
sure, they have things that they're motivated about, maybe not necessarily the thing that we're talking to them about or that the topic is, right? So an easy way to talk about that is they might not be motivated to exercise, but you look into their their day-to-day, whatever they're doing, and they're motivated to do other things, whether that be even exercise related things like walking a dog. They might wake up every single morning and go for a walk. Like there are things that they do that are maybe, I don't want to say steps below, but in the same vein, but not necessarily exactly 100% correlative.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you see that motivation, and then that's possible in your life or in somebody else's life. So then what you do is you take and you kind of find why that is motivating. And you once you find out why it's motivating, then you try to expand that to other parts of life that you feel unmotivated. So I think just starting kind of with that idea, and then what happens is people don't feel motivated when they don't know what to do. So when we start with clarity instead of motivation, we start with a plan. And if we have a plan on what to do, people are motivated to take the next step. It's really tough to get someone to take the next step when there's no plan and they don't know what it is. So whenever we have clarity, a plan, that actually breeds one, success, because it's really tough to have success if there's no plan. And then success actually breeds motivation. The more success we have, the more motivated we are. And then knowledge at this point in time for me is kind of, we have to be motivated to go get knowledge. Knowledge is free with the internet. So we can, as long as
Readily
we're motivated,
available.
readily available. It's right at our fingertips, literally at our fingertips. So if we're motivated, we can go get the knowledge that we need. That's kind of the easy part. So for me, starting with clarity, starting with a plan is always key. If you want to achieve something, if you want to move the needle with fitness, you want to move the needle with your family, have some sort of plan, a structure, so that you know where to go next. You don't get to a point and you just stop. That's typically where a coach and a mentor could also help out with that if you're struggling,
It seems to me that these things are all interrelated. Would you agree that they're all like, they all kind of like, I imagine sometimes things as Venn diagrams. So a Venn diagram is where you have all those circles overlapped over all each other. And so there's knowledge that's not necessarily overlaps with motivation and clarity. There's motivation that doesn't necessarily overlap with knowledge and clarity and so forth. And then there's kind of like what you're talking about is like right in the sweet spot where all these things kind of lie together or exist together. Am I way off there in that imagination
No.
or imagining, or is it kind of what you imagine too?
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. It's really tough to, at first when I kind of heard these three things, it was like, oh, they're all necessary. But I do think it does start with a plan and clarity, just because just a little bit more than others. That once you start that cycle, you're finding that sweet spot of, you don't want to.
Do you think though that you need a little bit of knowledge in order to create a plan?
No.
Or am I thinking about that in a wrong way?
No, not.
Is this where you might say? Is this where you say you use a coach or a mentor so you'd find it, or if you have no idea, no knowledge on I don't even know how to create a plan, like having somebody who knows those things create that plan for you. Is that kind of what you're saying?
100%. Yeah. The knowledge piece. Yeah. One, just literally Google your question or go find a coach.
Gosh, if I had $1 for every time somebody had asked me something, I'd be like, that all I'm going to do is just go to Google and type in,
oh my gosh,
how do you,
that's my life. That's, I would love to see my Google search. And it's always like literally the question.
I don't know how many times. So I don't necessarily consider myself a technologically savvy individual, but I figure I can figure out I can figure out the answer. And more often than not, I bet 70% of my Google searches are like tech manual, or how do you do something in Google Drive, or how do you use this app or how do you use, just recently, it's like, how do I use my phone as a webcam? I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out.
I have my number one search that I should have never searched, and I should have thought about the question before I put it in there. This is number one. It was amazing. So I like taking pictures with my camera. So some people call that shooting. You shoot pictures. You're going on a photo shoot. Yes. Well, I told my friend I would like to take some pictures of him exercising. So I Googled how to shoot someone running. It was amazing.
Oh my gosh.
And
how many of the hits that you got back were on topic of what you were expecting?
I don't remember. I might have deleted it because I thought the NSA was gonna come get me, or the FBI or something. But I'll bring us back in from that tangent that I took us down. But yes, I think really, if we're thinking about those three to kind of close it up, clarity, motivation, and knowledge. Clarity, really clarity, or you can even put that as a plan, but knowing where
That's
you're
right.
going and what you're doing is important, because that creates action, and action dispels overwhelm. So if you know that you have a plan of where you're going, you're going to feel a lot better about it. I might not, I, with risk of making this podcast longer than what I thought, we went hiking a few years ago, and Dave, David wasn't happy with my plan. Let's just say that. I had
I
a
was
plan.
I was unsure. I was uncertain. I was unclear about the plan. How about that?
Sure, that was my plan. So I guess, right. I just said, hey, we
Yep.
got to go that direction. I would just point across like a valley that is several miles away. And he's like, yeah, but what do we look like right over there? I'm like, I don't know. It's just that way. What are you talking about? And it was so funny because he was very trusting, and it worked.
We
He
made it.
trusted me, and we did. But the difference, here's what was crazy. And this is a life lesson. So we're going, and he didn't question me. We just kept going. And I could tell that he didn't like it, because he was moving slower than I was. And he's significantly faster mover than I am when it goes to hiking. And I was like, why am I going faster? Until we found this old guy. I'm going to say he was 80 years old, no shirt, jean shorts, cutoffs. And Dave, he wasn't 80, but he was older. David looked at him, like, flags him down. Hey, do you know where we need to go? And he said, yeah, I just did this yesterday. And we're literally like tired and exhausted. Couldn't imagine doing this for like multiple days in a row. So David abandons my plan and takes a new one, because somebody with more knowledge
Motivated me too.
had a better plan, and he was significantly more motivated, and he moved faster when we had a better plan. And I think that's also important, is like, adjust your plan.
Yeah.
Take in new knowledge, and this goes back to your Venn diagram. So like, if you take in this new knowledge, adjust the plan, you're more clear on where you're going, you're more motivated to go faster in that direction.
Yeah.
But the key there is action. When you take action, you're going to gain more clarity, you're going to gain more knowledge, which is going to motivate you more, and that's going to get that ball rolling. So when you're stuck, make a plan, and that plan could be, what is your next step? What does the next 5 minutes look like?
Even if it's a terrible plan, just make a plan, right?
100%.
Do something. Take a step to try and forecast where you'd like to be versus where you are now. Put something down on paper. You'll be significantly more motivated to do that than if you do no plan at all. And then as you gain more knowledge, you can fine tune it, right?
The execution, if you have perfect execution of a bad plan, is significantly better than like 5% execution of a perfect plan.
Yep.
So,
and a lot of that too, like you mentioned before, is just showing up, right? Like, you prove to yourself, you pay into that, you invest into yourself enough to say, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. That as maybe the plan gets harder, right? Like, maybe the plan becomes more challenging, but now you've seen yourself and you've paid into those dividends. So you know that you can do those things. And so you follow through a little bit more frequently than when you feel like I can't do them, or you're uncertain about them. And that's the beautiful framework here that I love about this knowledge, motivation, and clarity. And guys, we're hopeful that some of this might resonate with you. We'll probably be back to talk a little bit more about these in a little bit more detail as we hear back from those of you that are listening. But we appreciate you tuning back in for episode 4 of season 5. We'll talk to you guys next time.